This is the House of Boom podcast, Business Spotlight. I am your host, Eric Boom Salvery. No, let's do that again. I am your host, Eric Boom Salvery. We are in 2023. It is a new year, new me, all that good stuff. And as we make our way through January and on to February, which is Black History Month, I want to spotlight Black-owned businesses and I guess restaurants too. And so I remember growing up, I used to say this prayer when it was my time, the little kid, God is great, God is good, and we thank you for this food. Or God is good, God is
great.
Thank you for this plate. So tonight I have my wonderful guest, the owner of God is Great. I guess you want to say apparel.
God is Great Apparel.
God is Great Apparel. Lunic is in the building.
Woo! I'm going to give myself a round of applause.
She's going to give her a round of applause. Everybody in here is going to give her a round of applause. Round of applause. I don't know if that does anything for producer Baif's ears or the mic, but hey, we're here. We're going to have a good conversation. So first of all, I guess, what is that? She started giving us the nuggets way before all the God is Great Apparel. She has a media background. She's interviewed this one and that one. What got you interested in media? What brought you to that space?
I fell in love with media. I started doing radio first.
Okay.
I was on Streets 96.
Okay.
If you remember, it's a Jersey station, and then it turned into Streets 106.
Okay.
I'm curious, I'm nosy, I'm a people person, and communication was huge for me. Mm-hmm. And I was just always curious, like behind the scenes, what goes on. And I remember going to Essex County College, just kind of strolling.
Oh, so you from around the way?
Yeah, I'm from around the way.
Uh-huh.
So I was strolling through Essex County College, and I bumped into the broadcast studio just on a hum. At least I think I did, but I believe that it was part of destiny. And I walked into the studio, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I saw a camera, this like fake tree, and these blue curtains, and the control panels, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm in love!" And I felt like this is what I was supposed to be doing for the rest of my life.
Okay, so how did that journey in media go before you became an entrepreneur?
I did really well in media. I was at Essex County College. I graduated from there in the media department. And then I went to Montclair State University, where I graduated with a broadcasting and journalism degree. And while I was at Montclair State University, I was interning for Whoopi Goldberg on KTU, and then Wake Up with Whoopi and Cubby, and then I also worked for Clive Davis at J Records when he branched off from Arista, and then I did radio, and I've been interviewing. I've had my own podcast before podcast was a thing, and I just fell in love with the journey. And while I was at Montclair State University, I got an opportunity to intern with Whoopi Goldberg, and then they took us on a tour to My 9 News and Fox. I saw the big studio, and I was like, this is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life.
So y'all just seen how she just broke out the Rolodex on me. Like, I was chilling with Whoopi and Clive Davis. Who are some of your favorites that you work with?
Wow, I've worked with a lot of awesome people. Whoopi Goldberg was awesome to work with. I was with her at KTU. I used to wake up every single morning. I had to be at Newark Penn Station at 2 a.m., be in the city by 5 a.m., and then we went on air live like a few minutes later, and then I had to jump on a train and go back to Montclair State University.
You were at the Newark Penn Station at 2 a.m., so you know how to use these nunchucks, right?
I know how to use the nunchucks. I know about the rats running in the the train station in the middle of the night. But I've worked with some awesome people. I've got an opportunity to interview some amazing people. Beyonce. Like anybody you could think of. And Jadakiss. I've interviewed just about everybody.
Okay, so who was your favorite? Who was in your top three? I'm not gonna give you five. Give me three people that you were like, this interview was outstanding, or one that you didn't think was gonna go so well, but was like ended up being fire.
Kevin Hart.
Okay.
I interviewed Kevin Hart on a red carpet a few years ago. I have to say Whoopi Goldberg, too, because she actually became a part of my senior project as I was graduating college. And she was like, what's this, all you running around here in the studio? You got people with cameras and stuff. Ain't nobody asked me nothing. And I was like, I didn't know that I could approach you. And she goes, well, what can I do? And I was like, I don't know. What do you want to do? She's like, I'm going to narrate your piece, your final piece for graduation. And I just fell out. I was crying, and it was just really, really amazing.
Did you get that? Did it get an A? Did it went with
Absolutely, we got an A+++++++. We kept it a secret. We don't tell nobody because when you reveal your whole interview, and they were like, "Wait a minute, is that Whoopi Goldberg's voice?" And then they actually saw her on camera, so that was kind of dope.
Wow. Wow. And then the Kevin Hart one. Tell us a little bit about that one.
The Kevin Hart one was really on the red carpet at the ABFF, American Black Film Festival.
Yeah.
When they actually first time they did it in New York City.
Okay.
That was absolutely amazing. I asked him questions that you normally wouldn't ask. I told him, I asked him, I said, at the end of the day, when the smoke, the lights, the cameras, and everything are off, what is Kevin Hart thinking? What's life like for you? And he was like, oh, wow. I have to think about that because, usually you get asked the same kind of questions.
Rhetorical questions.
Yeah, and he stopped. He gave me a drop. He was just really friendly. He was just really amazing. And his energy was just like really super fire. And that same person that I met then is really the person that I see on television. It was really nice to see that he was actually a real person. Morris Chestnut was nice too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I often get compared to Morris Chestnut.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if that's real or not, but ladies.
Oh, I interviewed Ghost too, Amari. I interviewed
Harvard.
him too. Yeah, I interviewed him too on that same red carpet. That was nice. Yeah.
Y'all, I'm sitting next to a Titan, so she's making me step my game up. I'm like, well, I looked at her bio before, earlier, and I'm just like, okay, okay. And so we get to a place where you're doing it in the media world, you're killing it, you got interviews on top of interviews. What made you want to become an entrepreneur? Because this ain't for everybody.
I believe that entrepreneur was always in my gut. It was always part of the journey. Like I said, sometimes we look at life and we think like, this is something new. And I believe everything that we've done, everything that you're doing right now is preparing you for what's next in your life. When you look at the way things kind of panned out, you're like, how did I get here? I believe the interview skills was important. Communication skills was important. I believe that, my mom, who is from Haiti, used to always sell everything, like to put us through school, to pay for tuition. So I was always with my mother watching her, sell things to her coworkers. And she used to take layaways and stuff like that. So I always had the entrepreneur spirit. I was selling socks and bracelets and jewelry in college so I could pay for my books and my transportation. So the entrepreneur thing just kind of came natural, but I never ever dreamed that I would have like my own full-blown business. That wasn't part of the plan.
So shout out to all the Zoes out there. She is representing in a real way. Stop I say. Before we go forward, I also want to shout out the sponsor of this segment, Clean Everything LLC. They clean everything. We just happen to both be clients of Nasir and Clean Everything. He's also been on the podcast. So definitely want to shout him out. Clean Everything LLC. They really do a good job. They clean your house from top to bottom and more. So if you want to, you can go look at a previous episode. I think it was the last one we did. And he'll tell you more about the business. But back to you. Is God great?
God is more than great, but I say he's great and worthy to be praised. I say God is great because I am living proof.
Okay.
And that is like a quote that came to me. I asked God to just show me what it was that he wanted me to do next. Where do you want me to go? Who do you want me to serve? And it was just a process. And I was laying in the bed one day and I said, I want, God, how do I feed myself? How do I continue to do your work as a servant and still pay my bills? And I was staring at the ceiling. And he said, God is great. And I was like, okay, what does that mean? Then another quote came and said, investing in yourself is key. I was like, okay. So I hurried up and I wrote it down. And then I got up and I scribbled it on a little napkin, sent it to my cousin who's out in Atlanta. Shout out to Goldie Gold, who's out in Atlanta. He's awesome. He works with Colin Kaepernick. He's way too busy for me now. Okay. But he drew my logo. He was the first one to actually come up with this logo.
Which is fire, by the way.
And I drew it on a napkin in bubble letters I couldn't draw. And I said, hey, cuz, could you come up with a logo and a thing for me? I sent him to both quotes. And then he sent it back to me a couple days later. And I was like, oh, my God, this is so amazing. But I never thought clothing. I wasn't there yet because I was broke. I ain't had no money. And I didn't have no money. And then I said, you know what? That's cool. So I put it on mugs first. And then I started selling scarves. I went to New York and did all of this stuff. Then I took a picture. I put it on social media. People were like, how do I get mugs? How do I get mugs? I was like, I guess so. So then the mugs turned into T-shirts. And then the T-shirts turned into hoodies. And then the hoodies turned into a full-blown Apparel.
Now, this is in 2016.
2016, out the trunk of the car, $48 in dimes.
Okay. Before we even move on to the rest of your journey, I always often like to say, nobody can ever take your experience when you talk about you have an experience with God or something, I feel like, an encounter. But I feel like a lot of the determination of that is your own experience. I feel like God always does something that you can't add anything to or take anything away from, that you know that it's Him. Have you had a moment beyond just the inspiration of the brand that you feel like sharing? I mean,
sure. How much time we got? Look. I believe so. I'm 18 years clean from drug addiction.
Okay.
I smoked everything you could think of, right? And I don't look like what I've been through.
Wow.
I always tell people that. And I remember when I was in the trenches, when I was at my worst, at my bottom, I'm talking about bottom, doing anything and everything for one more, and I always remembered, because I grew up in church and I grew up with hymns and gospel, and I had scriptures, Psalms 23 was always my favorite. And even though I couldn't go to church at the time because I was always high. I was getting high in my car, I was getting high in my house, I was getting high in the closet, in the bathroom, wherever I could do it. And I remember always praying. I remember always saying, God, help me. God, please help me. I wanted to make sure that I didn't get stuck, and I was in a fetal position. And I remember, and I share this all the time, I said, God, if you would just remove the taste from my mouth, I promise that I would give your name honor and glory all the days of my life. And I remember one day I was driving down South Orange Avenue. I was at my worst. And this is long after I had went to a 28-day program to get clean. Shout out to Turning Point in Secaucus.
Right.
I ran up. I didn't pull my car over. My light, I was at a traffic light on South Orange Avenue in Stanford, and I started screaming. I left the car running, and I ran up that church as fast as I could.
That one that's right there in the corner. Okay.
And I cried, and I laid before the Lord, and I said, God, please, I can't, not another day. And I knew that if I had went out and used one more time, that was going to be it. And I got in my car, I wiped my eyes, I drove myself home, and I haven't used since. And that was one of probably my biggest aha moments. I honestly believe when you pray, God hears you, but then you have to do work. There's work to be done. We can't just pray and be like, hum and hope that something magical happens. So I began to do the work. I began to do step work. I got a sponsor. I started going to meetings, and I just started to get busy. I started reading up on addiction. I started getting around people who wanted more in life. I started listening to Eric Thomas, a hip hop preacher. I started Googling and YouTubing motivational stuff. I started going back to church. I was desperate. I wanted to stay clean. I wanted to get my life together. I wanted to do better. I knew that there was greatness inside of me, but I didn't know what that looked like because I couldn't put the drug down.
Yeah, you said 18 years ago?
Yes.
How? I'm not gonna. That's a span of a long time, and I'm sure there's a part of you that feels like that probably that person you were was a whole nother person, and then there's probably a part of you that feels like that was yesterday.
Absolutely.
How do you view staying in the place you are now? I hate to say stay clean, but you're in a space now. Now versus 18 years ago.
Well, as an addict or recovering addict, we replace one for another. That's the cliche. But I honestly believe that everything that I've been through was absolutely necessary for me to get here. If you don't have a story, then you don't have a testimony. I honestly believe that God used me, and I was just a vessel to show somebody else that God can change your life, that at any moment, anything can happen. Because at that moment that I was running up those stairs, I didn't know what that really meant. I didn't know that I would stop using, but I knew that there was something that was absolutely sign, miracles, and wonders, But I believe in that transition, that God is real. And I believe that I wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you had I not gone through and had He not brought me through. How can you glorify and talk about something if you haven't had any real experience?
Wow. I'm touched, and I mean that in a real way. I didn't know that part of your background, and I'm sure you told your story so many times. But sometimes it's actually good to just let it hit you in a fresh way and not in a rehearsed or I heard it before way.
This is my truth.
And it's the truth, and the truth shall set you free. Again, we've been doing this podcast thing for a while. The sponsor of this episode is Clean Everything LLC, and we have a wonderful producer. He finally got free of all his warrants last year. He's almost able to show his face on camera. We're going to try to test that out the next episode if he wants.
Almost.
But the producer segment question of the day, you ready? You got it fired up, ready to go?
I actually do, and it's funny. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, thank you.
My mom is now celebrating 27 years.
Wow, shout out to Mom.
In November. And as a kid who watched that journey, I know how difficult it is. Both of my parents were addicts. My mom was functioning, my dad wasn't. So I got to see both sides of it. And the journey to the other side is it's beautiful to watch, especially when you see what it looks like in your just day-to-day stuff. So I'm just saying that to give you your flowers. It's important and imperative for that story to be told, which I tell my mother all the time. But anywho, to the question. So in that same very question that you asked Kevin Hart, what is your version of that for yourself?
When nobody's watching, I'm crying. I'm always in tears. And I'm always laughing, because laughter is huge medicine. It's like the biggest thing. When I laugh with my whole entire mouth, my whole entire being, because I remember being in that dark place where nothing was funny. Right. So when something happens, I could see something and nobody else sees it. I'm laughing. I remember hearing a bird chirp for the first time after getting clean, because I didn't hear any of that stuff. Everything around me was dark. But when nobody's watching, I'm crying, but tears of joy, of gratitude, because gratitude is a place of you can't really explain, right? I could tell you my story, right? But until you've walked in my shoes, you have no idea why I'm being grateful. So when I'm shouting at the top of my lungs and I'm like, God is great, I am living proof, that means something to me from the pit of my soul, from the pit of my gut, So when nobody's watching, I'm crying, I'm rejoicing, I'm shouting, I'm laying before the Lord. It's not a perfect walk, but it is something that I get great joy, because a lot of times as an entrepreneur, as someone who got themselves together, there's still a lot of things I'm figuring out. Life is still confusing. I'm still trying to put the pieces together. People look at me and they see my social media and think I've got the life, but I'm like, there's work. I worked to get here. Work is required. So if you want to be great, then you got to be willing to work and stay in the work, so.
Whew. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's like you have eyelids, right? And so this side of my eyelids is like, you better not cry. You better not cry. And on the other side of my eyelids, on the back side, the side, the retina and all that good stuff, it's like, don't go chasing waterfalls.
Wait, before we go further, I brought you a gift. Can I give you a gift now?
Bring it on. I can't
all
sing.
Right. So we came bearing gifts, okay?
Right. Okay.
You want people to know your size or no?
Don't matter.
Okay, let me take this
just in case, you want to go shopping for future wife, all that good stuff.
So I brought you one of our amazing pieces.
All right.
So this is our gold and black.
All right, let's
God
spread
is
it
great.
out.
I am living proof.
Okay.
Sweatshirt.
All right.
Just for you, but you got to put it on now.
All right.
You got to put it on now.
Bossy. See how she just bossed me around?
Be back at
Gotta put it on now.
She like, Static Shock, you gotta go, bro.
Wait, but be careful of your microphone too.
I think it would be all right, because it's inside.
Good.
You know. You know, when you come on the House of Boom podcast, bring gifts.
Bring gifts.
Bring gifts. Bring 2 though.
And
Maybe 2 and a half. I don't know.
And I brought the right size.
I'm a size medium or size large.
I got you.
Size medium. Medium.
Put it out.
I got you.
All right, so this how
Let
we
me
rocking
take your
out.
tag off. You want
No,
your
we
hat
got
back on?
pop a tag.
Pop a tag. You want your
yeah, I'm gonna put the hat back on because I ain't really shaved today.
Okay.
But you know, y'all see what it is. I'm wearing this for the rest of the night too.
Yeah.
It's fire.
Yeah. You know,
There you go.
no coincidence.
Now-
God had me in this camo with the gold and everything.
that?
We on fire right now.
Yeah,
Y'all
put
see
your
it?
mic on the other.
Put it on the outside.
Yeah.
All right. Y'all can see the technical difficulties, but we do it. We do it
This
for
is
real.
what
We
live.
good.
This is the natural. This is real. Like, I don't like the made
We
up
good.
stuff.
Mic check. We good.
And Q T-shirt.
Cute T-shirt. Here we go. All right. All right, so let's talk 2016. You selling beautiful, dope hoodies like this. Your cousin
Yes.
made the logo and thing. So talk about that journey from 2016 to now 2023.
Wow.
And with the caveat of
Yes.
COVID kind of interrupting and changing stuff to you having your own store. Let's hear about it. Talk about it.
So 2016, I told you guys about how I started the brand. God gave it to me. I ran with it. I tried the invest in yourself. That's something I trademarked everything, of course. But out the trunk of the car, $48 in dimes. I sold it to whoever was buying it because I honestly believe, you know, when Jesus came to, you know, he didn't come amongst the perfects. I was outside the bars. I was inside the bars. Wherever everybody was, that's where I was selling the apparel. A lot of it I gave away. I literally started just taking pictures on the floor, putting them on the floor, taking pictures and putting them online. And then someone in India and Africa was like, hey, where can I get the shirt? And I was like, whoa, what? It was like, do you have a website? I was like, no. So in 2017, fast forward, I was like, oh my God, I got to put a site together. So I put the site together. Anybody that's trying to get your website, make sure you go to Shopify.com. Not a free plug, but just to my entrepreneurs who's been hitting me up asking me, how am I doing this? I registered the business. I did all the stuff that I needed to do. And then 2019, I was vending everywhere. Anybody that was letting me set up a table, I was doing it.
Wow.
I made sure I did it. And then in April of 2020, I had gotten a scholarship to Rutgers University to their business program.
Okay.
So I was doing that. And then I also got an opportunity to vend for 30 days inside Livingston Mall. So that's how I built that relationship. And they said, if you can get people to come here, I said, listen, I get about 300 people to come here every single day, and that's gonna bring a lot of traffic to the mall. They was like, okay, if you could do that, then let's do a partnership. We did that. And of course, every single day, everybody was coming from everywhere because I was going live and people were coming, they was coming to support. I'm talking about people was coming from everywhere. Like, what do you mean you're at Livingston Mall? We was just selling out the trunk of the car.
Wow.
You know, so that was a blessing. And then June of 2020, I got hit by 4 cars on the highway.
Say what?
My husband, yes. And right, how you gonna just
4?
skate past that? Yeah, me and my husband was going to celebrate our wedding anniversary because we got tired of sitting in the house during COVID.
Right.
I got the scars to prove it. There's pipes and stuff in my arms.
Wow.
He got his wrist reconstructed, and I was bodied. Couldn't do anything, but I called my housekeeper, her and her friend. They came, they was packaging stuff. I called my nieces. I called everybody who was willing to come to the house to make sure the online store was moving.
Wow.
We never stopped moving. And then in October, I got tired of sitting at home. I was tired of crying. Even though the online store was going well, everybody was supporting because I did go live. I was sharing my journey with everybody, and everybody was so supportive. I was like, yo, y'all got to shop online. I'm going to make sure I get your packages to you. So I would show the housekeeper packaging, like, yeah, see what, and then I showed them, you know, they was going to the post office and stuff. And then first week of November 2020, I went back to the mall to see if they would let us do the same thing again. And they were like, no, because of COVID. So shout out to Valerie. I love this woman to pieces.
Right.
She made me an offer that I could not refuse after I told her my story. And she was like, okay, why don't you do it as a pop-up? I said, okay. And then she said, better yet, why don't you just take the store? And I was like, I can't afford the store. I had no idea that I couldn't afford it. Remember, there's power in your tongue.
Right. I say that all the time. Well, go
Right.
ahead.
So I went to my I went to my husband. I was like, hey, we just got offered a store. What do you think? He was like, it's a no-brainer. What's there to think about? And I was like, but we can't fill 5,000 square feet. He was like, 5,000 square feet? I was like, yeah, that's what it is. And so we talked about
This is after the accident.
This is after the accident.
Okay.
I'm still in a lot of pain, excruciating. I'm going to therapy across the street at the hospital. And before you know it, November 22nd came around, and 18 days it took us to design the store, get product, hype it up, tell everybody we were doing it. We were just bragging on God.
Wow.
You know, we was just telling everybody like, yo, you got to come to support. And this is literally during a global pandemic when nobody is outside.
Right.
Everybody's all scary. We had over 400 people show up, and people who bought stuff from us in the trunk, people who bought stuff from us in the street, people who bought stuff from us vending and in the churches. They all wore their stuff. We had the windows blocked out because we have 2 huge big windows, of display, but we blocked it all out because we wanted to do an unveiling.
Yeah.
So I told my husband, I was like, we're having a grand opening in the middle of a global pandemic. What if don't nobody show up? And he was like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, all right, fine. So after I did my makeup, I was like, I'm going to go peek. I'm just going to go see. I peeked out the little thing. I made them. They were like, is people out there? But they didn't want to tell me how many. So I peeked out. I was like, oh, my God, this is so crazy. They're here. They were on the balcony, on the escalator. They were just everywhere. And when we finally did it, I was trying to do 20 people at a time. That was not happening. They was like, whoop. You ever see when they do a Black Friday?
Yeah.
That's exactly how they swarmed the store because everybody just could not believe it. And this one woman came. She said, I had to come see it for myself. I watched you every single day. She was like, I'm going to meet this woman. She was like, didn't you just almost die in a car accident? And now you opening up a full-blown store in the mall? She was like, I just came to touch you and I needed to see this for myself. And it was just a powerful thing. So, yeah.
So, I mean, first of all, I think that, like you said, God is great, and just how God blesses you and everything. God always gives me guests with good nuggets. I swear. Like, she gave us free game, a testimony. We in the mall. We're like, you've given us just a lot in just this little bit of time. So make sure y'all hit the replay. Make sure y'all like, share, and subscribe. We're not ending the episode, but I'm just saying that because y'all got to go back and listen to that. Especially anybody who's an entrepreneur or somebody who just really I don't know, maybe you're in a dark place that you need to get out of, again, the waterfalls. What is next? I don't even know if I want to know what's next for you or what's 22, 23 been like?
2023 is early. Just a lot of things are shifting. God is definitely moving in a way that I did not expect. There are some things that are coming down the pipe. God said book tour 2023, and I didn't finish the book. I finished the book, but it's not edited. I don't have a publicist. God is my agent. Everything I've done is literally been on my knees, and lots of tears. And I tell people all the time that, communication and confidence is one of the biggest things that will help you as an entrepreneur.
Because it's not for everybody.
Yeah, entrepreneurship is not for everybody, but a hustle on the side is. Because entrepreneurship full blown, meaning having a full on business with staff, with policies and procedures and systems in place and an online store, and you're responsible for payroll and a whole lot of things, that goes on behind the scenes that people don't see. A lot of us show like the glitz, the glamour, the packaging, they're all dressed up, they're on podcasts talking and making it seem like it's a walk in the park. Baby. That is not what it is.
Yeah. I know, running a podcast ain't a walk in the park.
Right.
Especially when I deal with Baif and his
But I tell people all the time, confidence is one of the things that has helped me, honestly.
I'm totally joking, by the way. He's a great producer. And please don't edit
Don't
my...
mess around, right?
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I just tell people that confidence is key.
Yeah.
And confidence is something that a lot of people lack. And that's why a lot of people don't succeed in business, because they talk themselves out of it, because either they're fearful or they're just not confident enough to know that what they're doing or the gift that they have can actually manifest into greatness, or that they can actually monetize it. So I'm working on, and it's almost done, my e-course and my ebook, The Power of Confidence, just teaching people, if you're not confident, I'll give you some tips, some tools, some resources, and some workshops, so that you can build that, because there's different levels of confidence. So you could be confident in what you do because you know how to do it when nobody's around, but the confidence to go out and network, the confidence to go out and claim what's yours, the confidence to walk into a room and stop everybody. There's levels to it.
Well, the great thing about doing this podcast is we can have recurring guests. So you could also come back when you drop that book and give us some more nuggets. Because I was really going to ask you.
You can still ask me.
No, I am. What? Now we talk about this journey. And I said entrepreneurship isn't for everybody, and then confidence is big, especially when something goes wrong, right? What is something that has maybe gone wrong on the entrepreneurship side that you've had to navigate your way out of to beyond the car accident and things like? I'm just talking about from the business standpoint, where you're like, okay, and then you're like, all right, and then that confidence has helped you get out of that space.
So I honestly believe that if you know who you are, like on inside, like when you know, it's like once you've made a mistake or something has gone wrong, and you can lose everything. But if you know what you know, you can get it all back and 10 times more. One of the situations I've had was with a printer. The business was moving. We were doing our numbers. I'm talking about we ship out globally. And I was dealing with this printer, and I won't mention no names because we built our relationship back up. But I took 600 pieces because we were going to the next level, right? Meanwhile, I still had inventory, but I was like, you know what? I was about to do a drop, and I had pre-orders. So I had these pre-orders, had the money already. Now I'm taking the stuff to the printer. I dropped the stuff off at the printer. They got everything, and then I go to pick the stuff up, and everything is messed up.
Wow.
The ink is not dry. The stuff is cracking. I guess they decided to take the cheap route so that they can make more money, or for whatever reason, the product didn't come out right. I looked at him and I went to just snap, and I said, you know what? We're done. Because there was 2 other small incidents, and you don't need a rock to fall over my head for me to be like, I'm done. A lot of times we're afraid to walk away because of all the time and work that we put in. We do it in relationships. We do it in all areas of our lives. And I said, you know what? And he was like, Looney, where you going? That's what he called me. I said, we're done. He's like, you don't want this stuff? I said, you can have it. And I came home. I took a deep breath, and I told my husband, I said, I'm going to take a break. He was like, what? Take a break? What do you mean take a break? We're moving.
To the bag. Like,
this is right.
What's going on?
And I said, I'm done. I can't. I need to reassess, reevaluate. I need to find another printer, and I need. And I'm glad that I did, because I saw it from a different perspective. I didn't rebrand. I didn't relaunch. I just stopped. People were going to the website and buying things that were already available. But that was huge, because I took a huge loss, because I promised people their products. I did call every single customer, and I gave them their money back.
Wow.
I didn't say, I just refunded them and said due to technical difficulties, but I had all of their email addresses. So when we decided to relaunch.
How long did that take?
3 months, 90 days.
Wow.
Yep. And those same people reordered from me, and then some, and we just moved forward. But sometimes you got to take a step back in order to go forward. Sometimes we stay in something because of the time that we put in or what we told somebody we were going to do.
Right.
I wasn't worried about that. I knew that I had a good product, and I knew that I had a great brand, and I knew that I had put the work in. And I said, you know what? We're not doing it like this. So I found a new printer, 2 new printers. And then I just went on, and then eventually I was like, I still need someone who's close to do like short stuff. So slowly we built that. He apologized. He goes, this will never happen again. I can't believe you left us like this. I said, and I explained to him, and now we back good.
Gucci. I think there's something.
He was missing out on a lot of money.
Yeah. But I think there's something even more powerful in recognizing that, you know, the value wasn't there at the printer, but the relationship is.
Correct.
And you took their value and you took it away from them. At the same time, you kept the relationship in a way where it was amicable. How you say that word, B?
Amicable.
Amicable. I say, Bubble. Look at your intern looking at me like this. Come on.
She's actually on my team.
Oh yeah, the team.
Yeah, she actually gets paid.
The team member. Okay. The paid intern. It's a lot of people.
She's
you want to show your face so they know?
She's a full right.
Yeah. She's like, don't downgrade.
Yeah,
me.
no one works for free.
Nobody works for free.
That's it.
Hey, I might come work for you. But nah, seriously. But just be able to amicable and just be able to y'all see I said that with confidence that time, right? And be able to just rehash that relationship and hey, everybody wins. And now you're, like you said, a global brand, right?
Yes. Yes.
What does it feel like to say that, even to utter those words? I'm a global brand.
It's crazy, right? It's insane. It feels good. You know, it feels good because I put the work in, you know, but what I know for sure is to whom much is given, much is required. So a lot of every time someone makes a purchase, a portion of the proceeds benefits our nonprofit, which sends 14 girls to media camp for free every summer here downtown Newark at Express Newark and Rutgers University.
Okay.
And we feed the homeless. We have all kinds of programs. Angels Are Real. We have like our homeless give back program and stuff that we do. So it's bigger than me. You know, it's not even about me. I'm literally the vessel, but it feels good to know that people from all over the world and people come in and like, oh, I'm from Venezuela or I came from the Middle East. I said when I come to New Jersey, I got to come to the store, and I'm just like, that's crazy, right?
Right.
Little old me.
Right.
The girl that ran up the stairs, I couldn't even put the stuff down. Is now impacting people's lives and sharing my journey, sharing my testimony, and just being transparent about, you know, what I've been through.
Whew. So you talked about people coming from Venezuela and just different places. Where can people find you online? Where can they find the physical address? And no, y'all can't get another hoodie like this for free, but you know, maybe something. Do you kind of dabble in Fashion Week or anything like that? Or
I don't, not yet. I've had them reach out to me, but it's a heavy play.
Okay.
You know, there are some things, and I'm not going to go somewhere and half-ass anything.
Right.
You know, and there's just some things strategically that needs to be in place before that happens. I've had my own fashion show, you know, because sometimes it's like you can have your own table.
Okay.
You can pull your seat up to your own table. You don't always have to be, you know, at another person's situation. But I've had some plays that I played, you know, and there's just some things that need to be lined up before I do something like that, because I know that when we do our next location or when we do licensing or perhaps even franchising, you know, that there's still some things that need to be in place. So
is it hard to, I mean, this is just a side question, but is it hard to license something like God Is Great?
No, it's trademarked. Yeah, because God is great. I mean, who's denying that?
Right.
You know, people be like, God is good. No, chicken is good. A book is good. You know, God is great. Like, I am living proof. You're living proof. You are a walking, living testimony of what God can do.
Right.
You know, I don't know your story, but you definitely have one.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We all do. And I tell people all the time, you are literally a walking billboard for God. Like you don't have to say anything to nobody for them to know. When you wear that, you got a story. Nobody wears that for just like for the sake of wearing it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When you wear it, you're like, yeah, I do got a story. I am living proof.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, and it's a conversation piece. Like people stop, you're going to get stopped. Where you get that shirt from? Tiki Barber was just at the store.
Really?
And you know, so there's certain people that come. Lorenz Tate has worn it. Deja Vu has worn it. Styles P from the Locks have worn it.
Got it.
You know, so there's people that really rock with it and be like, yeah, this is part of the story. They're part of the tribe, you know. But you guys can find God Is Great Apparel at Livingston Mall in Livingston, New Jersey. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook, God Is Great Apparel. Oh, and we're online, godisgreatapparel.com.
.com. Well, it's been a pleasure having you as a guest. Like I said, this is actually the first episode we've done in a while, and it's nice to have you come in and just bring that energy. You can see that you definitely have a glow about you, just that energy that exudes. Like I said, even just reading your bio beforehand, I was just like,
I tried to keep it light.
Yeah.
Sometimes just the bios are too,
Yeah.
Oh, did I tell you I was just on a billboard on Route 80?
Okay.
St. Joseph's. I got some awards. It was absolutely amazing.
Okay, he over here shaking his head in the back. He's like, yeah. I might need a studio audience. Like I got reactions. I got this might House of
God
Boom.
will continue to blow your mind if you continue to show up and do the work. I'm telling you.
What y'all think about that? We're gonna have the House of Boom.
Yes.
We're gonna be live. We're gonna have a live studio, and
Yes.
she's gonna be our first guest. So we're speaking that into existence the next one.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Just bookmark this day.
I'm telling you, I'm going on a book tour, so that might be a hit.
Hey, we gonna make it happen.
That's right.
This episode of the House of Boom Business Spotlight, Black Business Spotlight, is brought to you by Clean Everything LLC. I just want to thank Nasir for connecting us. He does excellent work, him and his team.
Yeah,
and
I'm one of his clients.
He's one of his clients. I'm one of his clients.
He does the store.
He does the store. That's really dope.
Yeah.
He cleans my house and does an excellent job.
Nice.
Again, I just want to thank you for coming on. This is the House of Boom podcast. I'm your host, Eric Boom Salvery. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we are out. Peace.
Woo!